The wind howled outside the crumbling building, blowing dust through broken windows and cracked walls. The planet was cold this season, colder than Ethan remembered. His thin jacket wasn't enough, but he had no choice. His heater stopped working. A week ago, Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the glowing red numbers on the eviction notice. He'd seen those numbers before exactly 3 times. This was the 4th. He was now officially 3 days late with the rent. One more day, and he'd be thrown out. Thrown out. Into a frozen alien city where no one wanted humans anymore. Ethan sighed, rubbing his hands together. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten a full meal in 2 days. He had searched for work, begged for scraps, but aliens here had stopped hiring. Humans long ago. Most of them didn't even speak to him anymore, except one. Velari. The landlady. She was tall, elegant, blue-skinned, with strange eyes that shimmered like stars. Her face never showed much emotion, but her voice, it was soft, calm, almost hypnotic. Ethan had seen her only twice, once when he moved in, and once when she delivered a warning, rent is due. No delays next time, and now it was delayed. He looked out the cracked window. Velari's room was just across the courtyard, on the top floor. A soft green light glowed behind her curtains. Ethan stood up slowly. He had no money, no job, no family, and nowhere to go. So he did the only thing he could. He knocked on her door. The hallway outside Velari's apartment was quiet and strangely warm. A soft scent drifted in the air, something sweet, almost like cinnamon but sharper. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again. This time, the door slid open without a sound. Ethan froze. Standing in the doorway was Velari. She wore a long silver robe that shimmered like water under the moon. Her skin seemed to glow in the dim light, and her hair, dark and flowing, rested gently on her shoulders. Her glowing eyes looked directly into his. "You're late," she said quietly. "I know," Ethan said. I don't have the credits. "I'm sorry, I've been looking for work, but..." She raised a hand. "Come inside," Ethan blinked. "What? Come inside?" He didn't know why he obeyed. Maybe it was the cold. Maybe it was the way she spoke. Or maybe it was the look in her eyes. He stepped in. The room inside was nothing like his. It was warm, bright. Strange lights floated near the ceiling, pulsing softly. The floor was covered with soft fabric that felt like silk under his feet. Velari moved without sound, gliding toward a low table where 2 cups were already waiting. "Sit," she said. Ethan sat. He kept his hands in his lap, nervous. This was weird. Too weird. She handed him one of the cups. He sniffed it. Sweet. Spicy. "What is this?" he asked. "Tea. From my homeworld. It calms the heart. You look like you need it." Ethan drank. It was warm. Too warm. His fingers tingled. Velari sat across from him, eyes fixed on his face. "You have no credits, no job, no place else to go," she said. He looked down. "Yeah, then maybe we can make a different kind of deal." Ethan's head lifted slowly. "What kind of deal?" he asked. She leaned forward, her voice lowering. "One that doesn't involve money." The words hung in the air like smoke. Ethan swallowed hard. "I'm not sure what you mean." She stood up and walked to the window. The robe slipped slightly off her shoulder, revealing skin that shimmered like starlight. "I'm lonely, human," she said softly. "This city is cold, and I have everything except company." Ethan's heart beat faster. He wasn't sure if this was real, or if the tea was messing with his head. "Are you offering me to stay?" "Yes," she said. He stood slowly. "But in return, what do you want from me?" Velari turned. Her eyes locked on his. There was no smile on her face, but something else. Something deeper. "I want something only a human can give," she whispered. Ethan took a step back. And then the door behind him shut with a click, Ethan stood frozen. The door had closed behind him, smoothly, silently. No lock, no alarm. But something about the sound made his heart skip. Valari still faced him, calm as ever. "I want something only a human can give," she had said. But what did she mean? "Look," Ethan started, voice shaky, "if this is about some kind of arrangement, I'm not a toy." Valari's head tilted slightly. "Neither am I." She walked past him, her long robe flowing behind her. Her room seemed to grow warmer with every second. The glowing lights above dimmed until only the soft light of the city crept through the window. "I didn't bring you here for games, human," she said. "But I also won't let you freeze to death in a gutter." Ethan stayed quiet. He didn't trust her. "Not yet." She sat down again and motioned to the second cup of tea. "Sit." He stayed standing. "You said we could make a deal." "I did." She nodded. "When will you stay here? Warm, safe, fed. You'll never pay rent again." Ethan frowned. "And in return?" Valari looked up at him, her glowing eyes sharp and unreadable. "I want a human connection." "What does that mean?" "Emotional presence. Daily interaction. Your voice, your stories. Your eyes meeting mine, not avoiding me like the others do. I want to learn how your kind connects. Bonds. I want company. Real company." Enfin was stunned. "You want me to talk to you?" "Yes, and live here." "That's it?" She paused. "Not exactly." There it was. The catch. "What else?" He asked quietly. Valari stood again. She walked slowly, not threatening, but not entirely peaceful either. She circled behind him. "I want honesty," she said. "No lies, no locked doors. You'll live with me, follow my rules, and in time, if you trust me, I will show you something no other human has seen." Ethan turned to face her. "And if I say no?" She blinked once. "You can leave. The front gate will still open for you. But out there, the shelters are full. Humans are banned from most of them. You'll last one night, maybe two." It wasn't a threat, it was just the truth. Ethan looked around the room, the warmth, the clean floor, the food he could still smell in the air. His room back upstairs had mold, broken lights, and frozen pipes. This was heaven compared to that, but it still didn't feel right. "I'm not some experiment," he said firmly. Valari's voice softened. "And I'm not your enemy." Ethan stared at her. "Why me?" "There were others before you, but they refused to stay. They were afraid, or greedy, or too damaged. You came to my door. You knocked, you didn't beg. You didn't demand. You asked." He didn't know what to say. "I don't trust you," he said finally. "I don't expect you to," she replied. "Not yet." A long silence passed between them. Then Ethan asked, "Do I sleep here, in this room?" Valari nodded once. "There's a guest room down the hall. You'll find it ready." He hesitated. "And the locked door? The one at the very end?" Her smile faded. "That one stays closed. For how long? Until you understand me." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "And if I open it before then?" Valari turned away. "Then everything ends." She walked toward a side hallway and paused at the edge. "Your room is to the left. Eat if you're hungry. I'll speak to you in the morning." Then she vanished into the shadows of her own room. Ethan stood alone in the glowing quiet, unsure whether he'd just accepted shelter or walked into something far bigger than he understood. Ethan woke to warmth. Soft sheets. A real pillow, quiet. For a second he thought he was dreaming. But then the scent hit him, sweet, alien, like some kind of spicy flower. Not his bed. Not his room, Valari's place. He sat up slowly. The guest room was neat. Strange lights floated above, dim but calming. A tray of food waited on a table. Bread, soup, fruit. Not the recycled powder junk he'd been eating for months. His stomach growled. But he didn't touch it yet. He walked to the door. It slid open without sound. The hallway outside was empty, silent. Too silent. That's when he noticed it. A shimmer in the air, like heat waves, stretching down the hall. And the door at the very end, the one she warned him about, stood untouched. Still locked. He turned away and walked toward the living room. I sat there, cross-legged on a low platform, eyes closed, floating just an inch above the floor. Meditating? She didn't open her eyes but spoke. You didn't open the door. Ethan stopped. You knew I'd try? I knew you'd wonder. She opened her eyes now. I've set a few rules, she said, voice calm. Rules? Valari stood, robe flowing behind her. Yes, if you're to live here, we must be clear. She motioned to a glowing panel on the wall. A list appeared hovering. In the air. House rules. Valari's home. Do not leave without telling me. Eat what is provided. Nothing more, nothing less. No touching the mirror in the hall. Do not lie to me. Do not ask what's behind the locked door. And most important, every night at 22 o'clock, you must join me. Ethan frowned. Join you for what? She didn't answer. Instead, she said, you agreed to this arrangement. These rules are part of it. I never said yes, he muttered. You didn't leave, she replied. That shut him up. Ethan looked again at the list. What's with the mirror rule? Valari's voice went cold. Don't touch it. A beat passed. Ethan nodded. Double quotes. Fine. What happens at night? We talk, we sit. We share stories, I ask questions, you answer honestly. Ethan stared at her. This feels less like rent and more like a test. Valari smiled faintly. Maybe it is. She moved closer now, her eyes searching his. Do you know what humans are to most of my kind? She asked. Ethan shrugged. Trouble? Entertainment, she said softly. Short-lived, messy, loud, but fascinating, he frowned. So, I'm just entertainment to you? No, she whispered. I'm hoping you'll be more. The way she said it, it wasn't playful. It wasn't romantic. It was something deeper, stranger, almost desperate. Ethan felt a chill crawl down his neck. I don't understand what you really want from me, he said. I looked toward the hallway. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I want to feel something again. That night, at exactly 22 o'clock, the lights dimmed across the apartment. Ethan sat with her in the main room. A fire pit glowed in the center. No words were spoken at first. Just silence. Just presence. Then Valari asked, Tell me about Earth. Ethan hesitated. It's, dirty, loud, busy. But sometimes if you go far enough, there are still places where you can sit under the sky and hear nothing but wind. She closed her eyes. I miss that sound. You've been there? She didn't answer. Instead, she asked, Tell me what you miss. Ethan looked down. I miss laughter. Real laughter. With friends and warm coffee. I miss cheap music and bad jokes and feeling like I belonged somewhere. Valari turned her head slightly, eyes soft now. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. Ethan blinked. Why? But she didn't answer that either. Instead, she said, Tomorrow, I'll show you something. A memory. Then she stood and walked away, leaving Ethan alone with the flickering firelight and a storm of questions spinning in his head. Ethan woke to silence again. But this time, something felt different. The air in the apartment was thicker. He could feel it in his chest, like breathing underwater. Outside the guest room, the soft lights were dimmer than usual. No footsteps, no sound of tea brewing, no scent of flowers. Valari wasn't awake. Or at least, she wasn't moving around like she did every morning. Ethan stood and stepped into the hallway. He passed the glowing mirror she'd warned him about. He didn't look into it, not yet. Not when something else was pulling him forward. The locked door. The one at the end. It stood there, still sealed tight. Smooth surface, no handle, no visible lock. Just cold metal with 3 strange glowing lines across it, alien writing. Maybe. He took a deep breath. She said not to ask, he muttered. She said not to open it. He turned to leave, but behind him something clicked. He spun around. Fast. The door was slightly open, only an inch. But open. Ethan didn't touch it. It had opened. On its own, Valari? He called out, heart pounding. No answer. He hesitated. Then curiosity took over. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was dark at first. Then lights slowly lit up along the walls, revealing what was inside. Ethan's mouth fell open. Toys. Human toys. Teddy bears, crayons, picture books, small shoes. A pillow with earth flags stitched on the corners. A cracked photo frame, and in the center of the room, a tiny bed. Alien-sized, but clearly made for a child. On the pillow, a name was stitched in 2 languages, one human, one alien. Ethan stepped forward, staring at the photo. It was old. Blurry, but it showed Valari and a small child, half human, half alien. Ethan's heart sank. The child had human eyes. He heard a sound behind him. He turned slowly. Valari stood in the doorway. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her robe was wrinkled, her eyes dim. You opened it, she said quietly. It was already open. I didn't mean. You stepped inside. I saw the name. Then you know now. She walked past him, toward the little bed. Her fingers touched the corner of the pillow gently, as if it might break. He was mine, she whispered. Ours, but his father left. Said the galaxy wasn't made for something that mixed. Ethan stayed quiet. I sat on the bed slowly. Elin got sick. No doctors here knew how to treat human biology. By the time I found someone off-world, it was too late. The room felt colder. I kept this room locked, not to hide it, but because I couldn't breathe when I looked inside. Ethan's voice cracked. Why show me now? She looked up at him, tears in her eyes but not falling. Because you're the first human who stayed, who didn't run, who listened. And because I needed you to understand why I asked you to stay. You miss him. I miss the feeling, the connection, the warmth of knowing someone was near. Even if they didn't speak, even if they just breathed the same air. Ethan looked around the room, a child's life, frozen in time. He realized then Valari didn't want rent. She didn't want a roommate. She wanted to feel alive again. I'm not him, Ethan said gently. Var. I nodded. I know, but I'm still here. She closed her eyes. I don't need you to become him. I just need someone to fill the silence. A long moment passed. Then she stood and reached out, placing something in Ethan's hand, a small worn key. This unlocks the mirror, she said. Ethan's eyes widened. The one in the hall? She nodded. When you're ready, look into it. Then she walked out, leaving Ethan in the room surrounded by echoes of a past that never had a chance to grow. Ethan stood in the hallway, staring at the mirror. The key felt cold in his hand. Valari had left hours ago. She didn't say where, just handed him the key and walked away. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't spoken. His thoughts were stuck in that room, the child's room. Elin's room. Now the mirror waited. He stepped closer. It was tall, built into the wall. The surface was smooth and dark, no reflection, just black glass. Until now, he'd never seen it glow. But tonight, faint light pulsed behind the glass, like something alive. Ethan hesitated. Then slowly, he inserted the key. Click. The mirror lit up. But it didn't show his face. It showed Urfa, a recording, a real-time window. He saw green fields, human buildings, children laughing, clouds drifting across a blue sky. Then it flickered and showed something else. A small child running, not human, not alien. Something in dash between. Half. Elin. A voice echoed. from the mirror Valari's voice. This mirror was connected to his DNA. It showed him what he dreamed, what he missed, what he longed for. Ethan swallowed hard. And now, it shows yours. The image flickered again. Now he saw a younger version of himself, sitting on a bus, watching the rain, a lone dot. Then it changed again, a memory of his mother's smile. A dog barking in a field. The mirror wasn't just showing Earth. It was reading him, his memories, his feelings. Valari's voice spoke again, calm and slow. My species is old, wise, but we lost something long ago. Emotion, real emotion. We see it in humans. We crave it, but we cannot create it. Ethan turned around. Valari stood behind him. She wasn't wearing her robe anymore. She wore something simpler, plain, almost human-like. No jewelry, no glow, just her. I don't want your body, Ethan, she said. I want your presence. He looked into her eyes. You're using the mirror to study me? No, she said, to feel you. Ethan's brows pulled together. Why me? Valari stepped closer. Because you still feel things. Even in pain, even in hunger, even when everything is broken, you still carry warmth. He backed up. A little. That's not special. To me it is. She looked away now, her voice lower. I tried with others, paid them, fed them, gave them everything. But they were hollow, or selfish, or broken beyond healing. You still have pieces worth holding. Ethan looked down. He didn't know whether to be flattered or scared. This is why you offered me the deal, he asked. Not for rent, not for help, but for this? Valari nodded. I want to rebuild something. Slowly, quietly, with someone who still feels alive. He shook his head. I'm not a healer. No, she said, but you're not dead inside. A silence stretched between them. Then Ethan asked, and what if I say I can't give you what you want? Valari didn't flinch. Then I'll let you go. No tricks, no locks. I promise you that. He stared at the mirror again. His reflection finally appeared. Faint, faded, but it was there now. I'm not used to someone wanting me for who I am, he said quietly. Neither am I, she replied. Another pause. Then Ethan asked, and if I choose to stay? Valari's voice trembled for the first time. Then, I'll show you the last piece of my heart. Ethan looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't cold. She wasn't dangerous. She was lonely. Just like him. He turned away from the mirror. And nodded. I'll stay. Valari stepped forward. She didn't touch him. But for the first time, her lips curled slightly into a small, broken, beautiful smile. Then tomorrow, she whispered, you'll see what no other human has ever seen. Ethan didn't sleep that night. Valari's words echoed in his head. Tomorrow, you'll see what no other human has ever seen. But it wasn't tomorrow anymore. It was midnight, and something was wrong. The apartment lights flickered. The air was heavy, like pressure building before a storm. Ethan stepped into the hallway. It was darker than usual. The floating lights that usually glowed along the ceiling were gone. Only the mirror at the center shimmered faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He walked past it, toward Valari's room. The door was open, but the room inside was empty. Then he heard it. A sound low, strange, coming from the locked room at the end of the hall. But that room had already been opened days ago. He moved carefully down the hall. The child's room was still there, but beside it was another door, one that hadn't been there before. Metal, seamless, cold. He reached out. It slid open on its own. Inside was darkness. And breathing. Deep, slow breathing. Valari? He whispered. No answer. He stepped inside. The room lit up instantly. Glowing walls, floating symbols. Strange machines, humming softly. And in the center of it all, Valari. But she wasn't standing. She was floating. Her body hovered above a circular platform. Wires and lights connected to her spine, her temples, her wrists. Her robe was gone. Her body was wrapped in glowing threads that pulsed like veins. She wasn't asleep. She was somewhere else. Ethan stepped forward. The machines around her reacted. Screens flashed. His name appeared. Ethan VOSS. Emotional link. Stable mirror sync. Complete transfer. PNDNG. He backed up. What is this? Then Valori's voice filled the room, but not from her mouth, from the walls. Ethan, I'm sorry. Her voice was calm, but sad. You trusted me, and I let you walk this far. But I didn't tell you everything. Ethan's fists tightened. What is this place? She spoke again. My people were built to adapt, but something in our evolution failed. We lost empathy. We lost love. We lost the spark that connects one soul to another. He stepped closer to the platform. And now, what? You're stealing it from me? No, she said. I'm sharing it. He looked at the screen again. The words had changed. Merge request. Awaiting human response. Valerie's voice softened. This process will not harm you. It will only copy your emotional energy, your ability to feel, laugh, grieve, hope. Once copied, I will carry it with me. And I will remember you. Forever. Ethan's voice shook. You lied to me. I guided you. I showed you truth. My pain. My child. My silence. I gave you food, warmth, safety. I needed something in return. You never gave me a choice. You still have one. Ethan looked around. The room's door was still open. He could walk out, leave, never come back. Valari's body hung in the air like a sculpture carved from light. He could end this, or he could give her what she asked for. But was it truly just a copy, or would it take something real from him? I don't understand, Ethan said, voice low. Why me? Because you still feel pain and haven't closed your heart. You still look at the stars and wonder if someone's thinking of you. He lowered his eyes. He had thought that many nights. Maybe she wasn't lying. Maybe she was just desperate. I'm scared, he said. So am I. Her voice replied. Silence filled the room. Then Ethan slowly reached for the glowing console. Question blinked on the screen. Confirm emotional imprint? YNHE hesitated. Then pressed. Y. The machines hummed louder. Valari's body glowed brighter. The lights burst once, then faded. Her voice returned. Now fuller, richer. I felt it, she whispered. You gave me something real. Ethan stood back. His hands trembled, but something inside him felt lighter. As if a weight had shifted. As if someone else now carried a piece of his pain. Valari's body lowered gently to the floor. The lights dimmed. And for the first time, she opened her eyes. No glow. Just tears. Real tears. Valari's eyes opened. She blinked once. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Real tears. Not artificial liquid or copied behavior, but something born from within. She reached up and touched her face. Surprised. Ethan stood across the room, staring. Machines had gone silent. The mirror had turned black. And for the first time since he arrived here, the air felt still, like the moment after a storm. Valar. I slowly sat up. Her voice was soft, shaky. Is this what it feels like? To ache for someone, to care? Ethan didn't speak. He didn't know what to say. A part of him felt hollow, like something had truly been shared, or even lost, and yet he didn't regret it. She stood now, slowly, her movements unsure, like someone learning how to walk again. I remember your mother's laugh, she whispered. The way you watched the rain on the window when you were 12. The sound of your first pet's name, Spike. Ethan's eyes widened. You saw that? I felt it, she said. Not just with the mirror, but inside. Like a flame. He swallowed hard. You have part of me now. She nodded, but I didn't take It you gave it. She moved closer, her steps quiet on the soft floor. You want to leave, she said gently. You should, he raised an eyebrow. You're not stopping me? No, she said. I'm not the same woman who brought you here. I don't need to trap you anymore. I needed something alive inside me, and now I feel it. I remember. Him, Elin. I miss him, but I can breathe again. Ethan turned toward the door. He could leave. She wasn't lying. The machines were off. The hall was open. He could walk out and never return. But he didn't single quotes T. Instead. What happens to you now? Valari looked at him. I learn. I feel. I mourn. I hope. Maybe. I love. Ethan stayed silent. He took one slow step toward her, then another. You said this was just a deal. No rent, no credits, just emotion. It was. Well, he stopped inches away. I think you owe me one more thing. Valari's voice lowered. What is it? Ethan looked her in the eyes. The truth. She paused, then nodded. All right. I want to know, he said. If I'd said no that night, if I hadn't knocked on your door, would you have survived? Valari looked away. No, she said quietly. Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. Not just sadness, but understanding that she hadn't been manipulating him. She had been dying inside, and he was her last chance to feel anything, after a long pause. Valari looked up again. But you did knock, she said softly. And I answered. Another silence. Then she asked, do you want to stay, Ethan? He smiled faintly. I don't know. That's okay. She held out her hand. No contracts. No machines. Just stay if you want. He stared at her hand. Warm, real, alive. Then slowly. He took it, his fingers laced with hers, and for the first time since he landed on this cold, lonely world, he felt like he wasn't alone anymore.